Hey guys, so in these few set of videos, we are trying to understand the art of the state creation, that is dynamic programming. And in this particular video, we are trying to understand memoization with the help of this very standard example, that is computing the value of nth Fibonacci term. And finding its modulo 104729. All right. So basically, we have already discussed how to solve this problem using tabulation in the previous video, and in this video we are going to solve the exact same problem using memoization. So let's just get into that. So let's just have a function over here, and the job of this function will be to compute the value of nth sum of the Fibonacci series using memoization. All right. So whenever we are trying to solve a dynamic programming problem, we have already discussed in the tutorial that we divide the problem into three different sub problems. All right. So the sub problem one was laying down the definition of the states of the dp. So dp of I in this case will be nothing but Fibonacci of I. The second sub problem was writing down the recurrence relation for computation of a state. So in this case, dp of I will be equals to dp of I minus 1 plus dp of I minus 2. So this will be our recurrence relation in this case. And the third sub problem was laying down the correct topological order to solve the states in. And in the case of the memoization, the third sub problem is not at all actually relevant, so you can completely ignore it. All right. So let's just get into one of the most important parts of memoization. So that is the wrapper function over here. So the first thing that we will do is we will define the wrapper function over here, and then we will see what a wrapper function actually does, the job of the wrapper function. So I'm going to define wrapper function as Fibonacci wrapper, and it will take in an integer value int I over here. All right. So basically, the job of the wrapper function is to actually act like a wrapper to the states of the dp. All right. So for example, if you call Fibonacci wrapper 7, it should return you the value of dp of 7. All right. So no questions asked, it will just return you the value of dp of 7. So that's what its job is. So whenever you pass in a particular state, its job is actually to return you the value of that particular state. Now how you code up the wrapper function will actually determine how much optimal it is over here. All right. So in case of dynamic programming problem, let's see how we actually code this wrapper function over here. All right. So let's just get into that. So there are a few steps that we follow. So the step one, let's just get into that directly inside the function. Let's just understand those steps inside this function. So the first step that you should follow inside a wrapper function is writing down the base cases. All right. So in this case, the base case will be if I less than equals to 1, return I. And why is that? Because dp of 0 is equals to 0, dp of 1 is equals to 1, and these two will be our cases, that is the 0th state and the first state will be our base cases. And for these two cases, dp of I is equals to I. So if I is less than equal to 1, I can just return I. All right. So that's all. These two are our base cases. Now the second step is check if a particular state has been solved or not. So this is where we start memoizing the things. All right. So the second step is check whether the past in state has been solved, and this is a very important thing to do. If you do not really do this, the code will run an exponential time over here, this wrapper function over here. So this is an important part of the wrapper function. So to do that, we will need the help of an array. All right. That checks if the state has been solved or not. So a boolean array will be the most ideal thing to have, and it will, if the value of that array for ith term is equals to 1, in that case it will mean that that particular state has been solved before and is present in the cache. Otherwise it will mean that this state has not been solved before and we need to compute it right now. All right. So let's just have a boolean array over here. Let's call it vector bool v is. Let's call this vector bool vis, and let's just initialize it inside the Fibonacci function. So vis that resize n plus 1 comma 0. All right. So initially all of its terms will have a value of 0. That means none of the states have been solved before. So to check if the particular state has been solved before or not, what I need to do is check if vis of I is equals to 1. So for that, this will be sufficient for that check. And if yes, I need to return the value of of the state of the already computed value of dp of I. All right, so that is actually that value of dp of I is stored in a global cache. So let's just define the cache over here. So let's call it vector int dp. So this array over here, it acts like a cache to store the states of the dp. So let's just initialize the cache as well, dp dot resize n plus 1. All right, so this cache is what Fibonacci wrapper will actually depend upon to store the value of already computed states. All right, so if vis of I, it will just mean that dp of I has been computed before, and you just need to return the value of dp of I. All right, the third thing that a wrapper function does is it actually computes the value of the state in case it was not solved before. So computes dp of I, and in this case dp of I will be equals to dp of I is equals to Fibonacci wrapper I minus 1 plus Fibonacci wrapper I minus 2, and we also have to take a modulo of these two values, modulo 104729. all right, and then the next thing to do is mark the state as solved. all right, so mark the state as solved. So for that, all I need to do is mark vis of I is equals to 1. So it will mean that this state has now been solved and it is present in the cache. In this way, dp of I is actually the cache value. All right, and now I can return the value of dp of I from over here. Okay, so this is how we actually code up a wrapper function in case of memoization. All right, so let's see how we can actually use this wrapper function over here. So let's try to do cout Fibonacci wrapper n. So since Fibonacci wrapper actually returns the value of nth state of the dp, it will this is what we need to do, not cout. What we need to do is return over here. All right, okay, so let's see if this works or not. All right, so let's just find the value of Fibonacci of 6 and let's see if our memoization code worked or not. So it returned the value 8, and this is the correct answer, and thus it worked. All right, so let's just have a look at some another example. Let's see if the Fibonacci of 7 is computed correctly or not. Fibonacci of 7 is equals to 13. All right, as you can see, the values of the series are computed very efficient, are being computed correctly. So is this code actually efficient over here, the code that we wrote just now? So basically, yes, this version of the code is actually very efficient. The time complexity for this code is O of n, and the space complexity is also O of n. All right, okay, so now let's just try to modify a few things inside this wrapper function over here, and let's see if it still stays optimal. All right, so let's try to compute the value of Fibonacci of 100 for now, and as you can notice, we got the value 42179. all right, so this is actually Fibonacci of 100 modulo this number over here 104729. Actual value of Fibonacci of 100 will be way too large to store in the range of integer. All right, so let's see if we can actually make a few changes to the function and if it still works fine. All right, so what if I comment this line number 34? What will happen? So in this case, the code will run in exponential time, and this exercise I'm going to leave to you. I'm going to give you a hint why this runs in exponential time. The reason is you're not marking the state as solved. All right, so basically next time whenever the same state is called, what will happen is it will be computed again from the scratch, and thus there will be this will lead to formation of a recursive tree, and each node calls two different nodes, and that's why the total time complexity becomes exponential. So that's the hint. I will leave the diagram of the recursion tree to you guys. All right, so now let's see if you notice, if I call this function over here Fibonacci of 100 after commenting this line, this will actually get stuck. This code will actually seem stuck to you guys, and this is not actually stuck. The code is working. The problem is it's just taking a lot of time to compute itself. all right, because it's the total time complexity, runtime complexity now is exponential, that is 2 to the power n. So that's why it's seeming stuck to you guys, but this is not actually stuck, it's still working, it's just taking a lot of time. All right, so as you guys can notice, this is the true power of dynamic programming. What it does is it actually uh, the dynamic programming, what it does is actually breaks the problems into some certain states, all right, and it computes each of these states only once. And that's why dynamic in the dynamic programming actually gives us a huge boost on runtime complexity. So basically, whenever you want to compute the time complexity of a dynamic programming problem, all you need to do is find the number of states, that is the first thing, and find the time taken to compute each state, all right. So in this case, if you notice, the number of states is O of n, that is that is the equals to the term of the TP that we want to calculate, and the time to compute each state is actually O of 1, all right. So that's why the total time complexity becomes O of n in here, all right. So now let's just uncomment it again, and if you notice now, as you can notice, we got the value again. So this just ran very swiftly in case of memoization. Without memoization, it was not running fast at all. Now if you comment line number 29 and 30, the code will again seem stuck to you guys. And in this case, the reason is you're not checking if the particular state has been solved before or not. You're not actually looking into the cache memory at all right. So in that case, again, this leads to a formation of a recursion tree of size 2 to the power n. So that again leads to exponential time complexity. So if you uncomment this again, this will again decrease the runtime over here, and you will get the answer that you are looking for. So now another thing to notice is, what if you interchange line number 34 and line number 32? Will it actually impact your end answer over here? What if you put this line number 34 before line number 32 like this? So basically, this is not going to impact your end answer. And I'm going to leave this as an exercise to you guys again, all right. So if you notice, you will get the same answer, and this is something which I'm going to leave as an exercise for you guys to understand why this is happening, all right. So I guess this is all for this video, guys. I hope that you guys got to learn a lot from this video, and the exercises that I had left for you guys. If you want to, you can actually comment the answers in the comment section, and I will be happy to answer any doubts that you have in them, all right. So that's all for this video, guys. Thank you for watching it.